When Jack Benny was born in 1894, there was no radio, no television, no films and no records, and the telephone was in its infancy. For entertainment there was vaudeville, and this is where Jack Benny started. But in his lifetime he saw the development of radio, records, movies and television, and became one of the first stars of the new electric media. In the 1930s, the Jack Benny program was an American national institution. He was called the King of Radio. When television arrived, he conquered that too, his radio and television programs alternating week by week. His comic persona of a skinflint, never-aging 39-year-old who played the violin badly was loved and known across the United States. He was one of the world's first great comedians, so when he came to Montreal to perform at Expo 67, I had to interview him. This is not a great interview, just 6.5 minutes long, so it was something of an ego trip for me. I would forever have proof that I spent 10 minutes talking to one of the greats of the comedy world. This interview has not been edited in any way. It's a tribute to Benny's warm personality and his articulate responses.
Welcome to Montreal, firstly.
Thank you, thank you.
I'd like to know, because I wasn't in at the beginning of it, how all this 39 age thing started.
It started, you see, I was 36 for a few years, and 37, and 38. Then when it got to 39, we thought, that's a funny number, it should stop there, you know. But it started by maybe my having, as I remembered, way, way back, of supposedly having a 40th birthday. And then we didn't want to get into the 40th, so we had a finish of that broadcast that meant that if I would look over my birth certificate, I would find out that I'm wrong. I'm not 40. I'm just reaching 39. And we would do some gimmick like that every year. So I always got back to 39.
And it stayed with you ever since.
Stayed with me ever since, and it's going to stay.
Now, you...
I'll tell you something, if I may, seriously about that. At one time, there was a big publicity thing. I was going to have my 40th birthday. I had more letters. There was a great article from the Boston, the Christian Science Monitor, seriously, now not being funny, seriously asking me to please not do that. And their reason was, it was a big long column. Their reason was that they felt that this had an effect on a lot of people who said, by gosh, I'm 39, I'm going to do what Jack does, I'm going to stay 39. And which means that when they get to be 65 or 67 or something, they'll say, well, wait a minute, I don't have to retire. Jack, I know how old Jack really is, Jack Benny. He doesn't retire, I don't have to retire. And they had a feeling that it did something. You know, I've said I'm 39 so long, I actually think I am, you know. Honest, I'm not.
No, you look about 37, actually. Many comedians have a label or a gimmick. You have many. You have the age, you have the fiddle, you have this tightwad reputation.
Yeah.
You also had Rochester.
Yeah.
This fiddle thing, you mentioned before that you were going to come back here to Montreal to do a concert with Zubin Mehta and the Montreal Symphony Orchestra.
Right.
Now, is this going to be a serious concert?
It is serious to this point. See, I do the whole last half. Now, they play the first half just as though I were Heifetz coming into the last half. Now, when I do the last half, I also play big, heavy numbers that some of the great artists would play, except I don't play it that well. I play it well enough for my purpose. By that I mean like Isaac Stern, the great violinist, who's my dearest friend in that field. And when people say to Isaac Stern, how well does Jack Benny play the violin, his answer is, he plays it well enough for his purpose.
And what is your purpose?
Well, my purpose is to get a lot of laughs, but not so much on the playing. I try to play well. If it doesn't come off, I can't help it. But I try to play well, and a lot of the people think when I make mistakes or something that I'm purposely doing it, and it's not true. I try to play as good as I can. Now, the laughs I try to get are about the little different things that will happen with the orchestra and the conductor and the concertmaster.
It's musical humor, in fact.
That's right. But I don't try to play badly, because I'll tell you why. The way I play the violin, don't forget it's only 10 years ago that I decided to pick up the violin again, and I was a pretty old fellow then, and decide to give concerts. Now this means that I would have to develop my fingers, my bow arm, all over again, because I hadn't touched a fiddle in years, except to play Love and Bloom, you see. So I couldn't be expected to become a fine violinist, and it's amazing, even to me, that I can do what I do with it.
Do you practice every day?
Every day. I haven't done it as much as I should on this tour. As a rule, I wait until I try to practice every day. But when I know I have a concert, like as soon as the date would be set for here, I would imagine, well, this is going to be here before I realize it. Now I start practicing.
What kind of violin do you have?
I have two beautiful violins. One, of course, is Stradivarius, and the other is called a Presenda, which is the best of that type violin.
You say one, of course, is a Stradivarius. How did you get hold of a Stradivarius?
Well, I was looking for Strads, and you know, there are other violins just as good and some better, but a Stradivarius is the name that everybody would know. If you stop 10 people on the street and ask what a Stradivarius is, all 10 or 9 of the 10 would say it's a violin. Now, they would know what kind. Now, you ask 10 people on the street what a Guarnerius is, or what a Presenda is, or a Berganza, they wouldn't know that's a violin. And some of them are better than the Strad. So the reason I took the Strad is because it's kind of good publicity. It's funny for me to own a Strad. And I have a beautiful instrument, a beautiful Strad, beautiful tone and everything. And it's something that I like to have.
I just asked Jack Jones what his favorite song was, out of, say, sentimental purposes. Do you have a favorite funny story that has sentimental value?
No, none at all, except the one he mentioned, which has made in the last 20 years every paper and every magazine and every article written by playwrights, maybe about me or something. They all use that same joke.
Which one's that?
The one about the fellow that held me up with a gun and said, "Your money or your life." And there's a long pause, and I said, "I'm thinking it over."
Mr. Jack Benny, thank you very much for
You're
speaking
welcome.
with us. I hope you have a very good run here.
Thank you. I hope
at the
so.
Expo Theatre.
Thank you very, very much.